All right, well, here we are, catching up on the Real Ghostbusters I promised to do from last month. I intended to finish Ghostbusters month out with this collection, but we just had a great amount of stuff in from Frozen Empire that I wanted to show you guys instead. I'm glad I did. You seem to really enjoy that. We'll save that again for the future, something like that. But right now, I want to focus in on the rest of this Real Ghostbusters relaunch from 2001. These were all Walmart exclusives initially. You can pretty much get them everywhere right now. They're on Amazon. They're on, I think, fan channel sites like Big Bad or Entertainment Earth. Walmart was actually running a sale on this guy. I think it was only like 20 bucks to get the Ecto, which was originally like 60 when it relaunched. So I think they might still be running that, so you can check that out. But the packaging on these is essentially almost one for one the original Kenner packaging. They had the little bubble, I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost, at the top there, with the ghost above them and the little stream up the side. The only differences here, of course, are going to be sort of the modern requirements on some of the packaging, like the instructions or the warning sheet that is in there. That you see the ages 4 and up on the top of the card. So, I mean, there's just some kind of requirements that packaging changes and warning labels change, so they have to keep them on. So they're not exactly the same, and of course the back will be a little bit different, and it'll have the Hasbro logo on there too, but it still has that Kenner logo on the front. So no major change, pretty much the packaging design. They kept that retro aesthetic, which is great. So if you want to display these on the card, you can totally do that. I love the artwork there. Not as much as the Fright Features one, but these are still pretty great. So I got the four guys here, and you see a little variation in the packaging here. I think this is the international one, the multilingual one, and these are the standard ones here. And then you have the Ecto, and the packaging on this is pretty much exactly the same. And I checked these out, so not much of a shift there. There's one of those little scan things on the back for it as well if you want to check out more on the Ecto. But yeah, I mean, they kept it pretty consistent. They all come with the ghost that they came with originally as well, including the Ecto here. So great to see these guys relaunched. A lot of us had these as kids. My Proton streams were all still intact, and all of those broke off on a lot of people over time. I think I lost one of the guns to the chair at the top, on the top. So it's great to have this all back together again. So why don't we come in closer, and then I'll pop all these guys open and we'll check them out. All right, we're going to start with Dr. Venkman here. And I like to cut these on a little bit of an angle. Well, kind of like a 90-degree angle here, so I don't ruin the packaging, because I do like this packaging. I'm just not going to display them on the wall like this. It takes up a lot of space, and my room is pretty full here. But this way you can get them off without destroying the card. Because if you do just pull it straight up, you're going to have that tear around all the edges. If you had that as a kid too, the packaging was pretty much shot when you did that. So this is the easiest way, unless you're really good at like steaming it off or something like that, and you could always reseal the bubble, but I'm not doing that. Let's see here, just caught it a little bit on this side, and I think we're clear. Yep, so no damage to the card there. I can still keep that. And then we have the character. Now, as I recall, this should just, there we go. So we have Peter here, and he's wearing his signature brown, which I thought was one of the closest looks to the original suit, because all the ones in the show and the Real Ghostbusters are definitely a different color. I think they explained that one of the episodes, and they throw away the original outfits. Something happened to them, so they all had these new ones instead. So this one has an elbow pad on the right here, and then he has his No Ghost insignia, and then that signature Peter look there. So the only other thing he has is his Proton pack and the stream. The only thing that was disappointing about these is you can't take the streams out. Otherwise, they would be just perfect, because they mount on the back, and they even have the little holsters there for the Proton wands. But the problem is it doesn't matter in the end, because you can't take the stream out. So you have this massive stream just kind of stuck through the top always. So there we go. So you could clip that on, and it looks great. But the problem is you can't take the stream out, so you just have this giant tail of sorts sticking out of the character there. So we have the, whoa, I can't get it back off. Oh, that's on there really good. I love how this fit on there. You just kind of put it in the arm. So that was really fun, and then you could just kind of twirl that to give it that effect. But again, you can't take it off. Like, it just goes on here and then that's it, which was really annoying. But it looks sharp, but you can only really put it on the one way because you can't drag it on the bottom there. But yeah, I mean, it fit on there. I loved that as a kid. The functionality of it was great. It didn't weigh a lot, so it wouldn't topple the figure over. And then he had his unique ghost here, which was just this kind of translucent grabber ghost. Now, he feels a little stiffer in the middle section than I recall the original molds. They were kind of rubbery. This is more of like a hard plastic. I mean, it's still a rubber, but it's not as loose. And it might just be, you know, time passed with those, so it's a lot more worn. But the arms feel closer to as I recall, to the body. But yeah, that guy's still still kicking. We still have our blue ghost there, and then you got Peter with his stream, and he could hold him. So the other thing that was great about these is they each had different colored streams, so they were very unique in that respect. So that is a quick look at Peter here, and we're going to switch gears, and then we'll take a look at Winston next. So same thing with Winston. I'm going to do the same card opening technique. For some reason, I liked his ghost more. I just felt like it was bigger. It definitely is probably the biggest one in the group, and just a little bit denser. Now, all these ghosts work great with the Ecto too, and I'll show you that when we get to it. But his is definitely the biggest one, I think, out of the bunch. He kind of, I don't know if this is the same color. It's very close, but I didn't notice that last time. It kind of has that orange tint to it, just like the one that comes with him in the Fright features. So I don't know if that's just his color or what, but it seems like he's destined to have orange. So, oh, this one's a little trickier. There we go. Yeah, try not to cut my hand up while I'm doing this really fast. And we are clear. All right, so Winston here. Like I said, we're going to take the ghost out first because I really like that ghost. Now, this guy feels a little bit more similar to how I remember. And it might just be a different material they're using in the mold. I mean, it's been like 30 years or so, right? So it could be a little bit different. But yeah, they're definitely very similar, but not... I felt like it was more solid too, and this one is hollow. I'd have to go back and look at my original Real Ghostbusters, but this one is hollow. I thought the original one was solid. I might be confusing it with the Ecto Ghost though, so I'll check that out in a moment. But here we got our Winston, and a little bit of a different look to him. I want to say he's a little further away from Ernie Hudson than the other guys looked to their on-screen counterparts, and he has this is a slightly different hue than I remember it too, but mine might just be dirty from time. The pack, you know, it was different in the show. It only had 3 of the little lights here on the cyclotron than the as opposed to the 4 on the screen used one. Still had the ion arm here. It didn't have an end cap. It had the vacuum hose. It was just a little different, and they were all this blue color too instead of the black. So I can't remember if they had a reason for that, why they changed all the packs in the show, but they were fun. The wands had this, like, I want to say almost cylinder type look, where it was rounder and came to a point as opposed to the other ones. His hand does not like to fit in here. I recall having that problem as a child too for some reason. Here we go, I got it. And then it has a different stream here. It's just a lighter color than the Peter one, which is very, very dark green. So that is essentially our Winston. This one doesn't fit on his head like the Fright Features one, but we got our first 2 Ghostbusters here, and they both mount with the blaster on their arm. But like I said, you can't really do much when you have that mounted on their shoulder. You can't really fit it anywhere because you're carrying this giant tail around with you, or antenna essentially, as you move. All right, let's go over to the heart of the Ghostbusters next and check out Dr. Stantz. Cracking into Ray here. This one is the international version, so he's got all that multilingual aspect to him. So everything in the I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost or the warnings, etc., are written in multiple languages, and it just kind of makes the box a little bigger. They didn't take up any extra space in the card, so it just kind of runs into the other area where there was no print before. So I guess it's kind of good they didn't really shift the card around then, because you still got the graphic at the top where it was. That bubble, though, for the I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost is definitely a lot bigger. And then you got the little pamphlet in it for caution. So a little different. This ghost was really interesting, the one with the curly tail. Not really sure what that's about, but I know this one definitely feels different than the original one. So they're definitely using different material with some of these guys, or with all of them. But, you know, I don't know if you're going to have the same material that you had 30 years ago, so it just kind of makes sense. So then we get our Ray stance here. Very bright color hair on this guy. I don't know why they did that. I just make him pop a little bit more. And then he's got his shirt and collar, a little bit of a belly on Ray. A little bit of a backseat to him, too. And then his eyes are matching the hair. And I think that was kind of consistent with all the guys there, except Peter. He just has blue eyes, but with brown hair. So a little different. And then he's got orange as his stream here, which also matches his hair. And his goes on easy. I don't know why only Winston was giving me a problem with that. And then his little proton stream. So again, yeah, some of these fit really well on their arms, and some of them don't. You just gotta kind of angle it differently. All right, so we got 3 in here so far. We're gonna crack into Dr. Spangler now. All right, Egon definitely had the most interesting hair of the set. That little pompadour look to him. Not sure why they did that, but it made him stand out. It was just very, very weird. But he has, for some reason, his stream is red. I'm not sure why they went with that either. It matches his glasses frame at least. But yeah, little different there. So again, this is the international packaging, a little different than the others. So it doesn't have the same attributes, and he has this yellow ghost. This one does have the hollow point, and I remember that in the original version as well, so you can actually throw it on top of his head or someone else's head and give him that little weird slimed look. But there is that really high cleft in the hair there, very tall forehead on him, and he's got that more unique, I don't want to say light blue greenish suit. Very tall, and I'll show you the height disparities in all of them here, and I think these are pretty much the same molds, so they're just as tall or short as they used to be. But I kind of liked how they all were a little different. They weren't just the same body, just kind of, you know, painted differently or something. You're supposed to put these off to the right, because this won't otherwise work if it's on top of, this way it clashes into the arm. So let's give you a little scope here so you can check out the height disparity of these guys. So you can see Ray is definitely shorter than Egon, and then you have Winston here probably in the mid-height range, and then you have Peter over here. I'll put him on this side. You got Peter here is a little bit taller than Ray, but not as tall as Egon. So you can kind of see the height disparity here with these guys, and you can see them all with their ghosts, of course. And then, yeah, you get all these different colored streams. It was fun to cross the streams then, too. You could definitely do that with them. They had so many great toys in this line. I mean, it went far beyond the point where I was collecting it. But they were all very interesting and allowed you to sort of live out that on-screen look. But, yeah, it's kind of fun with all the colors instead of just being one similar color proton stream, so that is kind of fun. All right, so we got all our guys. They're all set with their gear. Let's crack open that Ecto and check it out with the crew inside of it. This is probably the thing that had me the most excited to return to this line. I loved my Ecto when I had it. I still have it, my original one. I still have my Firehouse, but the Ecto is just so cool to play with, and to make it crash out of those Firehouse doors. Man, I really hope Hasbro relaunches that Firehouse. That was just so cool. So we got some instructions. Oh, there's some stickers in here too. Check that out in just a moment. Get all the parts out of here. I don't remember how I put this together back in the day, but I'm sure we'll figure it out here. And then we have the car. There's some different layers of cardboard holding it in place. Something definitely secure in here. Another layer of cardboard. Another layer of cardboard. There we go. That got it. And then it's wrapped. I don't think it was originally wrapped in this sheet in the original one. I think it just kind of fell out of the box when you opened it. But there we go. We got our amazing, amazing Ecto, and it looks great. Absolutely love this thing. The only thing it didn't do that I wanted to do was have flashing lights and noise, and that just wasn't a thing back then. You can see they had that detail underneath too, and then they had the opening doors in the front. Yep, and they kind of just snapped in there on both sides. You had the steering wheel in there, and then you had the gunner seat on top, and that one is also sealed here. And this is the one. Whoop! There goes our Ghost. And this is the one that I said where I lost these little red parts on. Yeah, this guy is solid, and he is definitely a different feel than I remember. So I think they definitely used a different, I don't know, gelatinous substance or whatever, rubber they did for this. So yeah, these, over time, they kind of broke off. So I think I have this one, but not this one. So this too, this kind of broke off over time. This wasn't the best design to consistently have your character in there, but they had a gunner seat on, and it was way before whatchamacallit, before Afterlife, so they're kind of ahead of its time, essentially. So that's kind of great. They had the gunner seat on there. Okay, so we got this in here, and now we have some decals here. I think it's pretty obvious where most of these go. They have the no ghosts go on the sides here, and just pop those on really quick. They shouldn't be too hard. There's only one way to really do this. So the no ghost should be going onto the side here like this, and then you got your no ghost logo. So yeah, it's kind of essential. I don't remember putting decals on it, honestly, when I had it originally. So this must be, I don't know if it's newer, or I just kind of feel like they came on it already in the original Ecto when Kenner released it the first time back in '86, I want to say. But not too bad. And then the big sticker, I think, is pretty obvious to go on the back here. To just kind of get it perfectly centered is going to be the trick. As a kid, if I would have did this, it probably would not have come out this well. It's just very difficult to do these things. But yeah, so almost like it was painted on. I kind of thought it was painted on in the original, so I'll have to go back and check that out. I'll put the other stickers on in a moment. It's just going to be the license plate and stuff like that. So the other big feature for this thing was the way it caught ghosts. So I'm going to try to do this by memory, but basically you had the back here, you had your ghost. You would, I need a little space for this. This claw would come out. I think you got to release it first. So the muffler here acts as like a switch. There's two modes, sort of a lock and then an unlock. So after you would take that out, you would take the muffler and put it into the second position here to the right. You would grab your ghost like this, right here, and then you would, it would engage. Yeah, here we go. It engaged better on carpet than it does here, apparently. But no, maybe not. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe I have the muffler in the wrong position. Okay, it's not working. I thought it was supposed to just retract. Okay, put the ghost in. Oh, okay. There's a hook on the ceiling. I didn't have it on the hook. All right, let's see. You can see that hook on the ceiling in there? That's probably what I did wrong. Man, it has been a long time since I did this. All right, hook on the ceiling. Once you get it on there, it doesn't leave you a lot of space to really do this, and my hands are a lot bigger than they used to be. But basically, you get it on the hook on the ceiling, and then you grab the ghost. So you kind of have to get it this close, essentially, and then you move it to the right position, retrieval mode, as it's called. So we get it to the right, and now it should. Well, it should be pulling it in, but it's not. So let me, I'll play around with this for a minute, and I'll get the rest of the stickers on, and we'll get the guys in there, and we'll check it all out together. All right, I get all my guys in there, Winston, Egon, and I got Peter on the top in the gunner seat here, and we got Ray capturing the ghost. Now, what I had wrong was you do need some resistance. This surface is too smooth for this wheel to work, but if you had essentially a, whoop, I gotta lock it in place here. If you had a carpet or something that this was on, put it on the right here for retrieval mode, then it would have that resistance in order to actually function. So I'll just use my hand here to simulate that for now, but essentially you can see it grabbing the ghost and pulling him into the trap. Not very well because I'm trying to do this while I'm bouncing off the edge here. I feel like the original, the claw was a little bit stiffer too. This one is not as stiff as the other one. It's a little more fragile. So the redesign on it, not optimal compared to the original. The original, and I think it also has to do with the rubber they used for the ghost. It's not as malleable as the original, but you eventually get him in there, and then you capture your ghost, and then you close him in, and that would be all in a day's work. The only other feature I didn't show you here was in the, let's get this ghost out of here. In the option here, if you want to instead not have this gunner seat on the top, if you want to go for the classic look of the movie car, you could just take it out here. The peg fits on the hole that's on the inside of the Ecto, and you can kind of slide it in into either position. So with Peter in it, it's not gonna fit. But if you take Peter out of the chair and then just relatch this here, it should fit in a lot easier. So you can kind of put it all the way in the back here into that little slot, and then it will be out of your way. I think it's probably easier if you take the hook off the part here and sneak it into the little indentation on the left, and then you should be able to fit this in no problem. Yep, right in there like that, and now you have it fitting in neatly, and that's how you store it. So you don't break the guns off. And then it would close in there. And then, yeah, this door is not latching in as much as it used to either. There used to be another tab on the top, so I think that's really what's different here is the redesign. Not as great, but it's still pretty solid replica of the original. It's just missing some of that stiffness and the use of different materials for things like the ghosts. Then you don't get that ability to grab it with the same kind of rubber that it used to be made out of. But otherwise, it has all that great nostalgia factor of the version you had as a kid, and it costs hundreds of dollars less. So it's still really great to have these again, and it's just fun. And I even have that nice chrome on the tires as well. Okay, so here we go. I perfectly got all their proton wands in their hands this time. The hands opened up enough to let them get in there just right, and you can see that they're holding in the hands. Ray's is a little loose, but everyone's got it the right way this time, and it just fit perfect. Great, love the Ecto. It's still got all the same features. I remember a little tricky on that wand part, or on the retractable area. I think it was just because I needed a surface and this is too smooth. That ghost being the way it is, or all the ghosts being the way they are, with that slightly different material they use to make the molds, makes it a little more difficult to get that catch point to really drag it. And I think it's the claw is just not as tough as it used to be, essentially, so you can't get a really good grip on anything. And I really feel like that lead was a lot longer. I remember being like all the way back here and grabbing the ghost and bringing it in. I should try to compare the two sometime, but I don't have that one with me. Yeah, I even think that this is slightly different material that they made this out of too. So it's not as sturdy, but it's still got all the same hallmarks, and for $15–20, I mean, you can't complain. It still captures that great look of the original without having to spend all that money to get it if you don't have it from when you were a kid. So that is our look at the rest of the Real Ghostbusters. We looked at all of it now. We had a video on the Ghost last month, focusing on the Ghost that came out with this wave. And then we had a video focusing on the Fright Features line that just recently launched at Target, but now it should be available everywhere. So those are great. I definitely highly recommend picking those guys up. They're just awesome. So that's all the Real Ghostbusters that have been released from Hasbro at this point, starting in 2021. And then we had a couple years off, and we just got them again in 2024 for the 40th anniversary. Hopefully we have more coming out. The Firehouse, everyone wants the Firehouse. It would be great to get the Firehouse again. But there's so many great ghosts and so many other vehicles and so many great things in this line. It was just really entertaining and fun. So hopefully they bring some of that back in some capacity. So that's all. That wraps up our April. It wraps up our mixture of turtles, robots, and all sorts of different things. Next month, we're going to have a big mix of different things as well. We're going to be looking at, of course, we'll have more turtle stuff. I'm not going to say we're not going to have more turtle stuff, but we're going to kick it off with some great Transformers that were recently released. Also, another 40th year, so we're going to be checking those out as well. And then we're going to have a whole mix of other things. We'll bring back our Movie Madness segment. We're bringing back our Then and Now segment. It's been a long time since we did one of those. And then we'll have some new stuff. So we'll mix it up with some new, some classic. We'll have some surprise vintage toys in there too, because I just saw some great things that give me a nostalgia trip. I want to check those out. So yeah, tune back. We'll have a great mix. And then we get into June and we have a special road trip down to Rebels Con. So we'll be there for that week. We'll be doing some work there. I'll be doing some work at Rebels Con. We'll be doing my segment that I host over there on the Rebels channel as well, which is the Rebels Rewind series. So we'll be doing that. We'll be meeting some of the cast of various different Star Wars films and shows over the year, so we'll be hanging out with them as well, and it'll be good times. You guys should check that out, rebelsconventions.com, and you can check out, there's still tickets available. Head on down. It's our first one we're throwing, so very exciting. So that is all for this time. As always, like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys next time.